Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. The storm over Los Angeles that night seemed almost prophetic, as if the heavens themselves were warning the Spencers that their legacy was about to be shaken to its very core. The rain-slicked streets shimmered beneath the mansion's grand gates as a black SUV slowed to a stop. Inside, Luna Nozowa sat trembling, one arm cradling a pink-blanketed infant girl whose tiny breaths fogged up the cool air. Luna was about to lay down her heart, her shame, and her desperate plea for acceptance at the Spencer mansion, with its towering windows lit like a watchful beast. It had always been a fortress of power, wealth, and scandal, but tonight it felt like a trial ground. The baby stirred in her arms, a soft, cooing reminder of the truth she had hidden for months. Her dark eyes glimmered with questions she could not yet ask. Who am I? Where do I belong? Am I a Spencer? And if so, why does my mother look as if she's about to beg for mercy? Luna swallowed hard as the door opened, revealing a butler whose expression betrayed both surprise and suspicion. Miss Nozowa, you weren't announced. Luna's lips trembled. I need to see Bill. It's urgent. He requires information about her. She shifted the infant slightly, revealing the small tuft of caramel hair, the perfect bow lips, the fragile little hand that reached out to clutch the air as if already searching for the father who wasn't there. The butler hesitated, torn between protocol and the raw desperation in Luna's eyes, but he stepped aside. He's in the study. Bill Spencer Jr., mogul, manipulator, and fiercely protective patriarch, stood with a glass of bourbon in hand, his gaze fixed on the Los Angeles skyline. The storm reflected in his eyes, a man both master of his empire and prisoner of his own choices. His phone buzzed on the desk, Will's latest message from abroad, checking in after another tabloid frenzy involving Electra Forrester. Liam's voicemail, left unheard after yet another hospital update. The brief text that Wyatt sent about staying with Flo that night. The Spencer sons were scattered, their father in the middle of the whirlwind. When Luna stepped into the study, the air changed. Bill turned, his eyes narrowing as they fell on the bundle in her arms. "Luna!" he said flatly, his voice a mix of cold calculation and restrained fury. "After everything, I didn't anticipate seeing you here." Luna's breath hitched. The memory of that disastrous night, Will Spencer's promotion party, the deception, the aftermath, burned like acid in her chest. She stepped forward and held the infant in her arms, as if to shield her from the chill of Bill's presence. "I know I'm the last person you want to see, Bill," she whispered, "but I couldn't keep this from you any longer. This is your granddaughter." She peeled back the pink blanket slightly, revealing the infant's sleeping face. For a moment, time stopped. The thunder outside rolled low and slow, as if the world were holding its breath. Bill's jaw clenched. "What the hell are you saying?" "She's Will's," Luna said, voice quivering. "Your son's. I carried her in secret because after what happened, after the party, after Electra, everything fell apart. I was scared. I didn't know who to turn to. But she's here now. She's a Spencer." Like a gunshot, the word hung in the air. Spencer, a name built on media empires, ruthless ambition, and a bloodline Bill guarded more fiercely than any fortune. He set down his bourbon slowly, the glass making a soft click on the mahogany desk. "You come into my house," he growled, "after deceiving my son, after turning his life and Electra's into a tabloid circus, and you want me to what? Welcome you. Accept this child as one of ours. She's innocent." Luna cried, tears spilling over her cheeks. "She didn't ask for any of this, regardless of what transpired between me and Will or what you think of me. She's a part of him, Bill. She is his child, your granddaughter." Bill's eyes flicked to the child, just for a second, and in that flicker there was something, recognition, maybe even a pang of connection, but it hardened as quickly as it came. "No," he said sharply. "Not until I see proof. Not until I know for damn sure that this isn't another scheme. Another way to get a piece of this family's name, money, or power. Luna, I've been duped before. My sons have been burned before. I won't let another opportunist stroll in with a baby and expect me to hand over my heart and my name. Luna's hands shook. Do you really think I'd use her like that? That I'd endure 9 months of whispers, of hiding, of being alone, just for money? I think you've already proven how far you'll go to get what you want, Bill snapped. You tricked my son. You wrecked his engagement. You shattered Electra. And now you want me to play grandpa. Not taking place. Not without a paternity test. Not without the truth, the whole truth. The baby stirred then, a soft whimper rising as if she sensed the rising storm. Luna rocked her gently, her own tears falling onto the pink blanket. I named her Isabella Grace, she whispered, voice breaking, because I wanted her to have something beautiful, something untouched by all this ugliness. Bill turned away, running a hand through his hair, the storm raging behind his eyes. He wanted to be the strong one, the immovable patriarch. But there was something about that name, that tiny whimper, that gnawed him. Could she really be his blood? Could this fragile little girl be the next Spencer heir in a family already torn apart by betrayal, scandal, and loss? Luna stepped closer. I'm not asking for your money, Bill. I'm asking for her place, for her name, for her to be loved by her father's family, even if her father can't stand to look at me right now. Will's gone. He won't answer my calls. He won't even acknowledge her. However, you have always claimed to be the lion's guardian and watchful parent. So where is that lion now? Bill whipped around, his voice rising like thunder. Don't you dare challenge me in my own home. I safeguard what is mine. I fight for what's mine. But I also know when someone's trying to make a fool of me, and I won't be made a fool of again. You want her to be a Spencer? Prove she is one. The room fell silent except for the soft patter of rain against the windows. Luna stood frozen, her baby cradled tight, her heart breaking all over again. Fine, she whispered. I'll get the test. I'll give you your proof. But if she is his, Bill, if she is your blood, then you're the one who's going to have to live with the shame of turning your back on her first cry. With that, she turned and walked toward the door, her heels echoing like gavel strikes on the marble floor. Bill watched her go, his fists clenched, his chest tight with something he wouldn't name. Fear, anger, guilt, maybe even the faintest tremor of hope. The baby's tiny fingers curled around Luna's scarf as they disappeared into the storm, leaving Bill Spencer alone with his bourbon, his pride, and the haunting image of a pink blanket that might carry the future of his family. Upstairs in the hall lined with portraits of the Spencer men, the stormlight flickered across the frames. Liam, Will Wyatt, each one a story of chaos, love, and legacy. Would Isabella Grace one day hang among them, or would she become another whispered scandal buried beneath the marble floors of the mansion? Bill didn't know. But as the thunder cracked and the rain washed over Los Angeles, one thing was certain. The battle for that little girl's place in the Spencer dynasty had only just begun. The storm eased into a soft drizzle overnight, but the echo of that confrontation lingered inside the Spencer mansion like a haunting refrain. Bill Spencer remained in the study long after Luna had gone, his bourbon untouched, the city lights flickering in the distance. His mind wasn't on the skyline, nor the empire he had built brick by brick, headline by headline. It was on the delicate cry that had pierced the mansion's grand halls, the cry of a baby girl he had refused to claim. Sleeping wasn't easy. The words Luna had hurled at him, if she is your blood, then you'll have to live with the shame of turning your back on her first cry, looped over and over, gnawing at him. Bill Spencer wasn't a man who ignored responsibility. Ruthless? Yes. Calculating? Absolutely. But heartless? No. Despite the tabloid image of Dollar Bill and the boardroom warrior persona, the man had buried enough regrets to know when one more might break him. The next morning, the mansion was quieter than usual. Wyatt had texted about an early trip to San Francisco. Liam hadn't called in days, wrapped in his own troubles, and Will's silence had become its own scandal. Bill stood in the breakfast room with a cup of black coffee when his phone buzzed. A single photo, no text. The only thing that comes to mind is Luna holding the infant on a park bench as the dawn mist curls around them. Isabella Grace, her little face turned toward the morning sun, her hand clutching her mother's scarf the same way Bill remembered from the night before. He stared at the photo longer than he should have. The tilt of her tiny nose, her cheeks crease, the faint, almost imperceptible shadow of Will's features. As he shoved the phone into his pocket, as if to bury the thought, he muttered, "Damn it," under his breath. By midday, his assistant had been dismissed, his calls ignored. As the photo showed, Bill found himself driving the familiar streets toward the park. He told himself it was business, utmost care. A man like him didn't make decisions on sentiment, he gathered evidence. He needed to know if this was real, or if Luna was playing the long con. He saw them before they saw him. Luna was rocking the baby gently, humming a tune too soft to carry in the cool breeze. The sight stopped him cold. There is no press, without cameras, no theatrics, just a mother and her child, fragile and fierce all at once. When Luna finally looked up and spotted him, her shoulders stiffened. "Bill," she said cautiously, her voice carrying the edge of last night's wound. He approached slowly, hands tucked in his coat pockets. "Relax. I am not here to make a fuss." His focus shifted to the infant. "How's she doing?" Luna blinked, surprised by the question. "She is healthy. She slept a little better last night." The two of them were in complete silence when Bill nodded. Then, without quite knowing why, he crouched slightly, bringing himself level with the stroller. The baby stirred, her little lips forming a perfect O before she yawned. One tiny hand reached upward, grasping at nothing, until Bill instinctively offered his finger. It was an electric touch, soft, unfathomably small. She gripped him with surprising strength, and for a heartbeat Bill Spencer, the mogul, the lion, the man who had stared down empires, felt something in his chest loosen. Luna stood there, her heart racing. "She doesn't bite," she murmured, half amused, half incredulous. Bill straightened his back, pulled his hand back, and cleared his throat. "Don't mistake this for me changing my stance," he said, though his voice had lost some of its bite. "I still want that test." "You'll get it," Luna replied quietly. "I've already made the appointment. However, Bill, I am not your foe. I just want my daughter to know where she comes from, even if that means waiting in this freezing cold for someone to believe her." Bill didn't respond. Instead, he looked at the baby again, her eyes fluttering open now, big and impossibly blue, like the early morning sky over Aspen where he used to take his son skiing. "Isabella Grace," he said under his breath, testing the name. "You gave her a strong name." "I wanted her to have something that couldn't be bought or broken," Luna said. "A name that stood for grace even when the world denied it to her." The rain threatened again, a soft drizzle brushing against their faces. Bill surprised himself by pulling off his coat and draping it over the stroller's edge to shield the baby from the mist. "Don't read into this," he said quickly, seeing Luna's expression soften. "I'm not signing up to be Grandpa of the Year." "No," Luna said gently, "but you're already doing more than her father has." That stung. Bill's jaw tightened. Will's absence wasn't just negligence, it was cowardice, and Bill Spencer had no patience for cowards, least of all in his bloodline. "I'll talk to him," Bill said finally. "If this test comes back the way you claim, he'll have to face his responsibilities. And if it doesn't—" Luna asked. Bill met her gaze, steel in his eyes. "Then you walk away. For good." Luna nodded. "Fair." They parted ways without ceremony, but something had shifted. That night, Bill sat in his private study, scrolling through emails, contracts, and the relentless noise of his empire. but his mind kept wandering back to the park bench, the way that tiny hand had clutched his finger as if claiming him without words. The pattern stayed the same for the following week. Luna brought the baby to a pediatric checkup not far from Spencer Publications, and Bill just happened to run into them at the coffee shop next door. Another time he sent his driver to deliver a discreet envelope, a gift card to a baby boutique, with no note, no signature, just a silent gesture. He told no one. Not Wyatt. Not for Liam. Not Katie, who would have read his guilt like a book. He especially didn't tell Brooke, who had been sniffing around lately under the guise of concern. Bill kept his distance, demanded proof, and refused to let his name be used as currency in another scandal in public. However, in private, he found himself observing the time of Luna's next appointment and pondering whether the stroller would once more pass by his building. The DNA test was scheduled for Friday. Bill had already ordered a private lab, not trusting hospital politics or family bias. He wanted hard science, unshakable truth. Thursday night, he stood in his bedroom staring at an old photo, at 3 months old, wrapped in the same kind of pink blanket, looking up at him with the same wide, questioning eyes. Katie had taken that photo. They had been happy then, before the world started pulling them in different directions. He poured a drink, but didn't touch it. The next morning, Luna arrived at the private clinic. Bill was already there, waiting in a low-profile black jacket, baseball cap pulled low. The baby was dressed in a soft lavender onesie this time, her tiny fingers gripping the edge of the carrier. "Are you ready?" Luna asked softly. Bill nodded. "Let's get this done." The test was quick, a simple swab, a drop of the baby's saliva, a sealed envelope. Bill signed the papers, his hand steady but his mind a battlefield. When it was over, Luna hesitated. "Bill, thank you for showing up. Whatever the result is, I hope you'll at least remember that moment in the park." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned over the stroller, looking down at Isabella Grace one last time before they parted. She was awake, eyes locked on his, a faint smile curling her lips as if she already knew something neither of them could admit. "Don't get used to me," he said quietly, almost to himself. "Not yet." The results would take 48 hours. And in those 48 hours, Bill Spencer, man who had stared down hostile takeovers, blackmail, and the wrath of half of Los Angeles, found himself checking his phone at dawn, at midnight, at odd hours in between, wondering, waiting, because for the first time in years, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about legacy. It was about a little girl in a pink blanket who might just be the one thing to make him feel human again.